what the topic is today. Book recommendations. Grab your favorite drink and why not grab a treat? I mean, how do you read and not have a little snack? And let's get started. Welcome. I'm Dr. Tracy Deakins, a psychologist. And if you are new here, welcome to my little slice of YouTube. And if you've been here before, welcome back. It has been a while since I've done some book recommendations. You know, life happened, but I think I got some good ones. I know I've got some good ones. And you want to stay tuned to the very end of this video because I have an announcement to make that just might interest you. And if you're wondering what these lovely little doodads are that I'm going to be snacking on while we talk, they are a salted dark chocolate quinoa crunch bar. First time I've made them, and they're amazing. If you want the recipe, I will drop it in the description down below. But enough about all this. Let's get going to the book recommendations, shall we? If you watch any of my channel March through May, you're going to be familiar with the books I'm going to talk about first. And I know I've already talked about them, and you probably got the idea that I like them. I mean, after all, I did a series on the topic. However, some of you may be new to this channel, and you may not have heard of these books. Most of us struggle with the topic of boundaries. We're not good at it, and for a variety of reasons. And so we have Good Boundaries and Goodbyes by Lysa Terkeurst, and we have Setting Boundaries and Find Peace by Nedra Tawwab. Both of them are great books. They are different, but great in their own way. Lysa Terkeurst, hers is faith-based. I was excited to see this book because I talk with clients about boundaries all the time, and I work on boundaries myself, and so it's great. And then it has a God perspective, the way that she theologically unpacks how God uses boundaries and God's intentions of boundaries for humans and how relationships are intended to be is just so skillfully done. And how she unpacks and reframes the Beatitudes, I will never look at the Beatitudes the same way ever again. So with her book, she really talks about the roadblocks that get in the way of us setting boundaries and just really how to kind of go to God and keeping ourselves healthy so we can show up in relationships in a healthy way. And she also covers the topic of saying goodbyes. A lot of times we stay in relationships we have no business staying in. And so she talks about how to say goodbye and do that in a way that is healthy and you can move through the grieving process well. And to wet your whistle, Lysa Terkeurst says, boundaries aren't a method to perfect, but rather an opportunity to protect what God intended for relationships. I really recommend her podcast, Therapy and Theology, or it might be Theology and Therapy. I think it's Therapy and Theology. But I'm going to put a link to her YouTube channel down below. Nedra Tawwab, her book is more of a broader stroke about boundaries, and it's more a how-to. Like, this is the information, these are the things you look for. This is how you set boundaries with friends, at work, with social media, with family. It's really thorough, very good. If you want a really good, break it down, simplify how-to, this is the way to go. Tawwab has some amazing information on her Instagram page. I'll put a link to her Instagram page down below. I mean, she will post these little videos with just wisdom that honestly, I want her to be my therapist. And actually, for that matter, I want Lysa Terkeurst's therapist to be my therapist. But anyway, on to the next book recommendation. The next book, Stop Overthinking by Trenton. Looking for something to help a client. I came across this book and one thought, oh, I could use this. And quite frankly, probably 80% of my clients could use this. This book truly has every intervention that I have ever come across to help people with wayward thinking. From time management to how you think about yourself, how you perceive others, you name a situation that can hook our brain and just pull us all over the place. this book probably has a suggestion for you. I mean, it's so crazy because look at that. Look how thin that is. You see how thin that is? But do not be deceived. And I'll give you a little wet your whistle. At the interface between nature and nurture is the story we tell about our lives, the way we make sense of things, our inner dialogue, and our sense of our own identity. The old saying goes, it's not the load, but how you carry it. Whether you feel an event as stressful or overwhelming comes down to how you interpret and understand the event, as well as how you actively engage with it. Okay, so go get her. Next one, I will totally admit I'm late to the party. Well, I'm late talking about it. I'm not late to the party. I actually got the book when it first came out. Then life happened, and I just never got a chance to talk about the book. But if you've been around here on my channel, or if you just know me, you know I love me some Brene Brown. Atlas of the Heart, I know it's been around for a while. Some of you may not have gotten it yet. Maybe you've been debating, should I? I don't know. Here's your answer. Yes, you should get it. And this is why. As a therapist, most of my clients are very skillful at recognizing when they are sad, angry, frustrated, stressed, and happy-ish. Happy, maybe. Outside of that, they don't do so well. And not just in the therapy room. People in general, I think, really struggle with labeling emotions. We simplify them, which is really unfortunate because you've heard me say this a gazillion times on this channel. Emotions are messengers, and attached to that message is a need. So if you don't understand what's going on with your emotions, then you can't communicate what your needs are to other people. And so you stay stuck in suffering and pain longer than you need to. So the more you understand what emotions are and the nuances of them, the better. And this book is great at teasing apart the nuances, teasing apart anger, frustration, annoyance, stress, overwhelmed, all those things. This book is structured different than her other books because it really is set up almost like an encyclopedia of emotions, but better. Meaning that she groups similar emotions together to help you see the nuances between them. Like, what's the difference between annoyed, frustrated, and angry? And what's the difference between stressed and overwhelmed? And she'll do her, typical, gives you like these great relatable stories and then ties in the emotions so you can see how those nuances play out. And so I'll give you an excerpt. Stressed is being in the weeds. Overwhelmed is being blown. Isn't that just a nice little nugget? You can tell there was a lot of effort. I mean, places we go when it's beyond us. I mean, look at this picture. I mean, is that not just captivating? It's just so well done, and I cannot recommend it enough. This next one is a classic. I mean, it's the third edition of a classic. This is Nonviolent Communication by Marshal Rosenberg. This is my go-to book for clients that are having difficulties in their marriage. I say, get this book. And the workbook. If they're having difficulties communicating with their family, get this book. Get this workbook. If they're having difficulties sorting out what's going on with themselves and knowing how to communicate that to other people, hey, you should get this book. Are you seeing a theme? Are you seeing a theme here? I recommend this book a lot. And the reason I recommend this book a lot is because it gets people to think outside of the box about how they communicate with people. And so what do I mean by that? What do I mean think outside the box? It's more than just I feel when you do, I need this, right? I mean, it is that, and it does break it down to those simple steps, but it is really understanding what's going on with you and making sense of that and being able to show up in the conversation and be genuinely invested in understanding the other person's perspective and getting outside of yourself in your head and really caring and being present, even if you disagree, and how to disagree in a way that is respectful and loving and recognizes the humanity of the other person. In the state of the world right now, we need this book because we have lost the ability to disagree and allow people to remain human beings. This book helps us do that. Can I read an excerpt? No, just get the book. Just get the book. Trust me. Okay? Okay. On to the last book. There's so much good in this book. Oh my gosh. How do I begin? My friend Holly gave this book to me for Christmas. And she said she finished reading it and it was her favorite book of the year. And she thought of me. And at first I thought, you thought of me when you saw a book called Bittersweet? Interesting. But I know what she means because it's about sorrow and longing and how it makes us whole. And this is a topic I think probably nobody wants to really talk about. But as a woman of faith who builds her life around God and his words and Jesus's example, I wholeheartedly believe you cannot, first of all, live a life free of pain and struggle. It's absolutely impossible. We're gonna have it. And I absolutely believe that there is such beauty and power and strength that comes from the struggle of that. I'm not saying bring it on, God, lay on the pain. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that those moments when we are longing, we are reaching for the thing that we want and we don't know if we can get it, and we are just despairing and we are hurting and we feel disconnected. If we lean into that and see it as something with the potential to really show us who we really are and whose we are, man, the sky's the limit. She does such a great job of looking at every angle that you can look at sorrow and longing and trying her best to get an understanding. And woven through the book is her own journey with sorrow and longing within her family and her childhood experiences. It's truly brilliant. And let me just read an excerpt and then we're gonna go. It's long been known that the vagus nerve is connected to digestion, sex, and breathing, to the mechanics of us being, in other words, to the mechanics of us being alive. When we witness suffering, our vagus nerve makes us care. These findings have enormous implications. They tell us that our impulse to respond to others being sad sits in the same location as our need to breathe, digest food, reproduce, and protect our babies. In the same place as our desire to be rewarded and to enjoy life's pleasures. They tell us, as researcher Kellner explained to me, that caring is right at the heart of human existence. Sadness is about caring, and the mother of sadness is compassion. Please get this book. Holly, thank you for buying this for me. It just shows me how much you know me, and I love that. And I just love you for thinking of me. And speaking of Holly, she has a really great YouTube channel, guys, about stationery and pens and planners and all the things that I love, I'm really passionate about. I'm gonna put her YouTube channel link in the description down below. Check her out. Her channel is just such a great joy to watch. So here's the announcement. Because I loved this book so much, just absolutely fell in love with it, captivated by it, I got extremely curious about her other book, which came out before Bittersweet. And I'd seen this in bookstores and in libraries, and I was intrigued by the cover. It's gray with a big red, and it just kind of like piqued my interest. But I didn't get it because I got it close to it and I was like, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. And I was like, well, I'm not an introvert. I'm not an introvert. But after I read this book and her writing and how she just weaves research and story and how she just digs in and she just finds all the things and just flips your thoughts about things, I digress. Back to this one. I want to read this. I want to read it. And not because I'm an introvert. Heavens no, I'm so not an introvert. Anybody who knows me knows that I am the furthest thing from an introvert. But all my friends are. I can't say all of my friends. Probably 90% of my friends are. And I want to understand them better. I appreciate an introvert, as extroverts need them. I want to know more about introverts. I want to know more about what's going on in this woman's brain, because it's brilliant, I tell you. And while I read this book, I want you to read it with me. I want us to go on a reading journey together. I want us to explore her brain together, you and I, in there, understanding and learning and discovering together. I want us to take the next month reading this book, and then I want us to meet back up here on YouTube for a little live action to discuss the book. I will give you all my in-depth thoughts about what I loved about the book, maybe what I didn't find so lovable about the book. And I want you to ask me your questions. I want you to type in your questions. And I want you to leave your comments. And I want us to have a discussion, a little book club, so you will. And if it goes well, then we might make this a quarterly thing. And you can give me book recommendations. And we can just have a good old time. And we can have treats while we discuss books. So, go out, get the book. And I will drop in my Instagram the date and the time and the place that we're gonna meet up and talk about the book. I mean, introvert or not, if you're not an introvert, we need to understand them. And if you are, you need to understand yourself. Go out, get it. That's it, that's all I have. I got nothing else. That's it, it's all my books. Yeah, I appreciate you staying around. I know this was a longer video than usual. I appreciate you staying to the end. And again, description will have more information down below. Let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on the books. Recommend books to me. I am a reader. Look, there's books back here. There's books over there, you can't see them. There's books literally in every room in this house. You will find books. Every room. Well, not the bathroom. You won't find them in the bathroom. The video's already been on for way longer than it needs to be. I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna land the plane. You know what to do down in the comments. And of course you know what to do until we see each other in the next video. I want you to always choose joy.